Starting on your mat, 4-point kneel, let's take cat-cow, exhale, curl and round, and inhale, lift tailbone, expand through the chest, energy out through the crown of the head. Warming up through the spine here, lifting through the belly, and allowing yourself to find movement with the breath. Let's tuck the toes and introduce a down dog. So pressing back, letting the heels melt to the floor, curling and rippling forward and finding that extension. Exhale, curl and round, sink the heels, press the tailbone high. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the belly, lift the tailbone. Continuing here through this flow. Let's find that final one. And then I want you to come back to a 4-point kneel position. And we're going to lift and hover the knees off the mat. Start to walk the feet in and back out. Using the right leg first, in, back, back. Keeping that belly lifted, shoulders down and back, soft through the arms. And then we want to swap so that the left leg is always taking that step forward. In 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming back down to rest all the way in our child's pose. Knees are nice and wide, reach through those fingers and let that chest melt to the floor. Let's come on up now and start to get ready for our bird dog. Extending the right leg long and finding that nice curl as we squeeze the thigh towards the chest, scooping through the belly. Big exhale as we draw it in, and an inhale as we extend the arm and leg long. Squaring off those hips, those shoulders towards the mat for me. Keeping lifted through this spine as we start to find these little pulses up towards the ceiling. Squeezing through the smile of the glute, reaching through fingers and toes. Take your left forearm now and square it up to the front end of your mat, coming onto your elbows, slightly open the hips and drive the knee towards the front elbow and extend the leg back in line with the body up at the hip height. Flexing through the foot and feeling that squeeze through that glute. Keep lifted on your supporting side and nice and active through that tummy. As you start to fatigue, really focus on that breath. Big exhale, drive through that heel, squeeze through that glute. Be mindful not to sink through that shoulder. Hip should still stay nice and stacked here, so just be careful not to rock around the pelvis as we extend back. We should be extending nice and straight and in line with the body up at that hip height. Let's start to reach through the toes for our last couple of extensions before we take those pulses up towards the sky, squeezing into that glute. Get that leg back in line with the body. Stay lifted on the supporting side and releasing it down. Take the hands behind the body and interlace the fingers. Lift the chest proud. Nice stretch. Coming on up to a kneel position, take the foot slightly in front of the body, extend the arms out at shoulder height. Lunging into that leg now, sending the knee out over the second, third toe, really sinking into this nice stretch for the inner thigh, keeping the tummy active and the pelvic floor on. Now you control the range of motion here, so a bit of hip mobility work. Keep allowing yourself to sink a little deeper into this stretch, making sure that knee is tracking out over second, third toe. Let's take the hands now behind the head, interlace the fingers, square everything to the front, and find that nice side bend, really active through our obliques here now, using that breath and feeling that nice squeeze through the side of the waist as we come up and over. Keep nice and long through the spine. Let's flow between these two movements now. So we're coming into that nice lunged position. Hands come behind the head and we find that oblique curl. Using our breath, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Try to challenge yourself here with your range, seeing if you can sink a little deeper, reaching a little further, making that space between each vertebra as we find that nice side bend, using those obliques and sinking nice into that open lunge position. Staying strong, finishing strong, using that breath. Finishing that final one before we find a nice stretch up and over. and then opposite direction. And then coming around onto your knees, we're going to get ready for our hinge. So squeezing through those glutes, let's reach those arms forward as we fall back like a tree. We want to keep the shoulders, hips, knees all in a nice alignment, keeping the eye focused, the chin slightly tucked, making sure that we're not dropping that head back. We should create that beautiful diagonal line through the body, really working the fronts of the legs, backs of legs here. Try to find a little pause, a little challenge, keep that tummy active, drive those hips forward. Final push, hold, 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 and release it down. Well done, guys. Let's press it up and back now, walking the hands to the feet, holding the elbows, little gentle sway side to side. Tummy's active, press through the heels as you roll up and stand nice and tall. Bring the feet so that hip distance apart, and when you're ready, sitting down into that nice squat chair position. Arms reach overhead, shoulders down and back, tummy stays on. Now if the reach overhead's too much here, feel free to cross the arms and rest the hands on the shoulders. I want you to really sink deep like you're sitting down on that tiny little stool behind you. Drive through those heels and squeeze the glutes as you extend the hips forward. Let's see if we can hold it down in this challenge zone as we peel heel one at a time off the mat, sinking deeper in each little pulse. Again, bring the hands to shoulders if the overhead reaches too much. In a moment, we're going to sweep those hands past the hips, palms face towards the ceiling, floating both heels off that mat this time, sinking a little deeper, really lifting right up to the balls of the feet, tracking the knees out over the second and third toe. Tummy must stay nice and active here. Sweeping those hands, pressing, sinking deeper. Almost there, guys. Feel that burn. Really reach through those fingertips. And finishing it out with these final pulses. See if we can really sink deep now. Press through those heels. Final little push. Almost there, and release. Well done, guys. Take the feet nice and wide, really press into the legs, just allowing yourself to catch your breath, but also staying nice and active at the same time, sinking through those legs, pressing through those heels, slowing that heart rate, reaching through the fingers. And getting ready to set it up on the second side, sitting down into that nice chair squat again, thinking about reaching the bottom back behind you, sitting into those heels, pressing those knees out over the second and third toe, and reaching those arms overhead. Really lift that belly button, sitting right back as deep as you can, using that breath. Find the squeeze of the glute at the top, full extension of the hips. And then we come into those heel raises one at a time. Again, holding that position, sink deep. Feel the burn, breathe through it. You're almost there. We're going to find those double heel lifts in a moment as we sweep the arms through. See if you can stay low here. Press the palms to ceiling. Keep the knees tracking. Keep the belly button lifted. It's the final little push. Use the breath. Keep focused. You've got this. In 4, in 3, in 2. Get ready to hold and take those little pulses. Let's do it. Sink it down. Press through those heels. Press, press. Tummy stays lifted. And release. Well done, guys. Roll it down. I want you to walk straight out to a plank and hold it there for me. Keep nice and long, keep nice and lifted, press that floor away. Feel strong, feel the strength. And now you can release. Send it all the way back. Nice big stretch, melt that chest, reach those fingers. Okay, coming on up, back to that 4-point kneel, and we start back with our bird dog. So this time left leg, right arm, scoop and draw the thigh towards the chest and find that beautiful curl. Lengthening and scooping. Work to keep the hips square, lifted through the spine so that the spine meets the shoulder blades. And remember to shift the weight back if you're finding this too much floating through the wrists. And let's find those little pulses. Reach through the toes, squeeze, smile of the glute. And then we're going to square that right arm to the front of the mat, coming down onto the elbow, open out through the hips. We come into those kicks. Drive the knee towards the elbow and flex the foot back. Leg in line with the body here. Find the squeeze through the glute. Maintain height of leg. Stay lifted and active on your supporting side. Use the breath. Doing really well here, guys. Stay with me. Drive and press, using that breath. Smiley faces as we find those extensions of pointing through the toes. We're almost there. Stay with me here. We're almost at our pulses. Are we ready? Squeeze it up, lift it high, find that glute, switch it on, and you can release. Well done. Again, sitting back, interlace the fingers, lift that chest, and then you can melt down to that nice child's pose position. Reach the hands, melt the chest, sink the bottom back towards the heels. Let's come on up. We're going to take that left leg out in front now, slightly forward of the body. Reach the arms, bend into that leg. Remember, you control the range of motion here. Nice inner thigh stretch, opening out through the hips. Track the knee over the second and third toe, using that breath. Keep everything nice and square to the front. And then we interlace the fingers and we find that nice oblique curl to the side. Reach right over. Find the length through the spine first and then come up and over. Elbows stay nice and wide. Using breath here. Squeeze those glutes. Keep the hips pushing forward so we're not feeling anything through the lower back. And then we start to flow between each exercise. Remember, challenging yourself, reaching that little bit further, sinking that little bit deeper, but always maintaining our beautiful technique. Tummy active, rib to hip, pelvic floor, and when all else fails, smile. Doing really well, guys. We're almost there. Stay with me. I was sweating too. Super humid. Let's finish these out. We're almost there. Reach and stretch. And getting ready to take that beautiful stretch up and over. And then in the opposite direction. Awesome work, guys. Alrighty, let's come around now onto the knees. I'm going to get you to find that plank again. I really want you to feel nice and strong through this position. Lift the belly. And then we're going to send the tailbone high, press it back, press the chest back towards the thighs and sink the heels. Coming forward to plank again, down through the arms, slide forward and press the floor away. Remember, you can come down to the elbows if this is too intense. Press it all the way back to the child's pose. And then we're going to come around and get ready to finish off with our final little ab burn. So getting yourself set up, interlacing the fingers, and inhale T-zone, exhale, we float, and then taking the legs into tabletop. From here, just a basic ab curl, sliding ribs to hips, gazing towards those knees, making sure our knees are stacked directly above our hips. Our shins are nice and parallel to the ceiling. On this next one, I want you to hold the curl, reach the arms forward and start to tap the toes. So really reaching the toes towards the front of the mat. Then we hold once again, return the arms behind the head and back to that abdominal curl. And we're going to repeat the same thing again. So sliding ribs to hips, pelvic floor, deep abdominal wrap. And then we're going to get ready to hold that curl. Extend the arms forward and find those toe taps. Tapping it out for 4, in 3, in 2, and 1. Release it down. Well done. Take those knees, little windscreen wipers side to side, releasing. Hugging the knees now into the chest. Exhale, curl and extend one leg forward. We come into our single leg stretch, so stay nice and curled here for me, floating those shoulders off the mat. If this is too intense, bring yourself down to mat and just work legs. For a challenge, let's start extending the legs to a full scissor variation here, reaching through those toes, keeping floated. Remember to keep the pelvis anchored, it shouldn't be rocking and rolling around. Switching between the two now, back to that bent leg. Exhaling each time, ribs are to hips, stay floated. And then switching out again for those nice long legs, scissor variation. Anchor that pelvis. Final push, let's go. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Well done. Little gentle rock side to side, and let's find our final abdominal exercise. Extending the legs up towards the ceiling, point the toes, inner thighs squeeze, lowering the legs down, flexing the feet and pointing to return. Keep the spine imprinted, no arching of that lower back. Thighs are squeezing together and ribs are drawing towards the hip bones. Option just to keep the toes pointed throughout if that flex of the foot is too much of a stretch through the hamstring. Engaging through that core, using that breath. It's our final abdominal exercise. Really challenge yourself to lower those legs right down to that mat and releasing it down. Little rock side to side. Awesome job today. I really hope you enjoyed this workout.